Hey everyone, it's Brandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing my March book haul. I believe throughout this month I got like almost 20 books, which is kind of insane, but honestly, what can I do with myself? I've been trying to slow down my book buying, but obviously, as you can tell, it hasn't been working too well. I think part of it this month though has to do with the fact that I made a book outlet order, and I think over half of the books that I bought this month were from Book Outlet. I think I got like 10 books from Book Outlet just this month. So yeah, that explains why I have so many. Anyway, let's get into it because I just have so many to talk about. So I'm going to start with the books that I had pre-ordered for March. The first one of those being Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I don't really know too much about this book just because I haven't read it yet. But I do have plans to read this one in April, so I will learn more about that. But from what I know, Zelly is living in this world where there once was magic, but there is not anymore. And at the time when magic was outlawed and something was done to take away the magic, all the adults who had these magical powers were killed off, and the main character's mother was one of those people who were killed because of her abilities. And I believe Zelly has some type of chance to bring magic back to this world, so she is working in order to do that. And things are going to happen from there, but like I said, I haven't read this, so I don't really know too much more beyond that. But I have heard amazing things about this book, and I am really looking forward to it. The next book that I had pre-ordered was Obsidian by Andy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This was the third and final book in the Illuminate Files trilogy. Each of these books mainly focuses on two characters, but with this one we kind of flip-flop back and forth between the surviving characters from the first two books and the two new characters that we meet in this book. And we are following their two separate stories until they converge, and basically the final battle of this series is going on. I have already read this. If you guys are interested, I have posted a series review for the entire Illuminate Files series. And the final book that I have pre-ordered in March was Skippy Volume 40 by Yoshiki Nakamura. This is another book that I have already read and I talked about in my March wrap-up if you guys are interested in that. Getting into some of the other books that I got in March. The next one that I have is Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston. This is the book that came in my March Outcrate box. All I really know about this one is that it is an Anastasia retelling, but it's taking place in space. So this is a sci-fi novel. It has androids. I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Another one that is on my April TBR. The next one that I have is State of Sorrow by Melinda Salisbury. This is the book that came in my March Fairy Loot box. So this is another one that is on my TBR for this month. And I honestly don't know anything about this book. I just know that it has an absolutely beautiful cover. The next book that I picked up was The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw, and this is kind of I heard people say hocus pocus / practical magic kind of retelling. And this book takes place in a small town in Oregon, and I believe it might take place in dual timelines, I should say, not perspectives. But I'm not completely sure about that. I know that back in the 1800s, there were three sisters who were drowned in a lake or river or something like that right outside of this small town for witchcraft. And now in the present day, these three sisters come back each year for I think like a few weeks each year, and they lure boys into the lake or whatever it is and drown them. So I don't really know too much more besides that, but I was interested in this one and I was gonna wait to pick this one up, but I did decide to pick it up because I wanted to make sure that I got like the cover that had the nice hardback, as you can see the artwork on the hardback, and it's on the back as well. And I saw on Amazon that they were only doing this for the first printing, and I noticed a lot of people were buying this, so I decided to just go ahead and pick it up because I wanted to have the nice copy. I know the price sounds a little crazy, but I wanted to have a nice copy before they were out of print, so I picked this one up. Then I picked up a couple books from Amazon. I believe these are like the last books that I bought in the month. The first one of those was Happy Marriage Volume 1 by Maki and Joji. And this book follows this girl, or this manga, I guess, follows this woman named Chiwa, and she is in her like early to mid 20s, I believe, and she ends up in a marriage of convenience because an old friend of the family wants her to marry his grandson, and it's supposed to be beneficial for both of them. He tells her that he can help her with her family debt, and then his grandson is supposed to, I'm not really sure all of the benefits that he's supposed to get out of it, but he feels like his grandson needs to be married, so he offers this to her, and she ends up agreeing, and things basically take off from there. It is a series that I have read already, and I have read it in its entirety, but I decided that I wanted to start physically collecting the series because I remember really enjoying it. I have already read this one in March, and I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to pick up the rest of the series. And then I have 2 more books that I got from Amazon. The next one was another manga. I picked up Queen's Quality Volume 1 by Kiyosuke Motomi. Oh geez, I am terrible with those names. I picked this one up, thought it was the first volume, and then as soon as I got it, on the back it says that it is the sequel to the QQ Sweepers series, and I have seen those around, but I decided to pick this one up because I thought it was a completely separate series. Found out it's not, so I believe it is 3 series of the manga under that title, QQ Sweeper. So obviously I need to go pick that up, or need to pick up those 3 before I can read this one. I was thinking about picking those up anyway, but now I absolutely have to in order to get to this one. And the last book that I picked up from Amazon was An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole. I decided to pick this book up because I heard Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany talking about this one, and I have read another book by Alyssa Cole which I picked up last month, which was A Princess in Theory, and I really enjoyed her writing. And I'm not usually the biggest fan of historical fiction, but because I liked her writing and I heard such amazing things from Bethany, like I mentioned, I decided to go ahead and pick it up and give it a try. And who knows, maybe I'll find the right type of historical fiction that I will enjoy. So yeah, I picked this one up, and I can't wait to read it and see how I think about it. And the last book that I have to talk about before I get to my book outlet order is a book that I actually won in a Goodreads giveaway, and that is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. I'm not really sure if that's how you say the author's last name, but this book is supposed to be coming out in June. It says June 5th, so this is an arc of the book that I won, and it sounds amazing. We follow this character, and she uses data to kind of predict what customers are more likely to buy, or what customers are more likely to do, and stuff like that. And she just hasn't had the best of luck in the romance department, and she is, I believe, like in her 30s. Yeah, she's actually 30, and it says she has way less experience in the dating department than the average 30-year-old. And I believe the main character also has Asperger's, so she ends up hiring someone to kind of help her get comfortable with romance and different aspects of being in a romantic relationship, because she has Asperger's and she can't really grasp the concept of like physical affection. So like I said, she hires someone in order to help her out with that, and maybe I feel like this might possibly lead to a real romance from there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. It sounds like it's going to be a really good one. So the last part of my book haul is the books that I picked up from Book Outlet. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I think I got about 10 books from Book Outlet this time around. And I will say that with this purchase from Book Outlet, I was a little disappointed in it because I felt like a lot of, or not a lot, but quite a few of the books I got were a little damaged, and I only got one scratch and dent book, and that one I was okay with because I knew that that one was possibly going to have more damage than normal. But some of the other books, like one book I ordered, I got like a scratch and dent copy, even though I ordered a regular copy. And the other book, which I'm going to show you guys first, it has a white cover, and this is like the third time I believe this happened to me, because I ordered two, or actually I got all three of my Darker Shade of Magic books from Book Outlet, and the last two that I've ordered, they came really dirty, and with the white cover it's really noticeable, so it's almost like it fell on the floor, or it was like on the floor for a while. And I don't know, I feel like that should have possibly been, I mean, it's not like the cover is actually damaged, but it is pretty dirty, and if I would have bought it like off of Amazon or Barnes and Noble, it would have came like brand new, freshly white. So I feel like that should have possibly been something that they mentioned. But anyway, the first of those is American Street by Ibby's Boy. This is the one that I was talking about that came dirty. I'm not sure because my lighting isn't the best, if you can really tell, but it's like a bunch of marks on there, especially on the back. You can more see it, and it's almost like you can feel it on your fingers, and I hate that so much. So yeah, that sucks. And this is a really pretty book, but I'm looking forward to reading this one anyway. Don't know too much about this. I know this deals with a Haitian immigrant, and she is supposed to be moving to the U.S. with her mom, but her mom gets detained and I believe sent back, and she ends up going to live with her aunt and cousins in Detroit by herself. And I heard people say that this is a magical realism type book, but I'm not really too sure about that, obviously, because I haven't read it yet. But I finally picked up a copy of this, and I'm looking forward to getting to it. The next book that I picked up, which is the book that I was talking about, that I bought a regular copy and I got a scratch and dent copy, and that was Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. I know that the front cover looks completely fine, and I had no issues with that. Besides, it looks like the folding got messed up, but I probably could have fixed that myself, so that wasn't the huge deal. What I was really upset about is that the back cover, it has like a giant cut through it, like a box cutter type of cut. Like they cut the box open and went right through the book. And I wouldn't have had an issue with it if I had ordered the scratch and dent copy like I mentioned, but I didn't. I ordered a regular copy, and I think the scratch and dent copy was like $2 less. So I'm like, you sent me a book that, you know, I paid more for than the quality of the one I got. And then when I tried to exchange it, like I was going to go ahead and send this back, and I was asking for another better copy, they said they don't do exchanges, which I had never heard, but I could return it and get a full refund. It was just like, it was really weird. Nothing was wrong with the customer service. They were really nice and everything, and they responded pretty, like they didn't take too long to respond. But I thought that was a little weird that they didn't do exchanges, but I could return it for a full refund. So I just got a full credit for it, and I'll probably just end up buying a copy of this from Target like I had initially planned, because I can't remember what, I think the Target edition had artwork on the end pages, so I think I'm gonna just go ahead and get that like I had initially planned. But I thought, you know, I would save a couple dollars, because this was like $6.39 I think I paid for it, and the Target copy is like $15. So I was like, I'm gonna save some money, but whatever. Moving on, the next book that I picked up was Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. I actually already have a copy of this, but this is the 10th anniversary edition, and I wanted to pick this up for a while because it does have extra stories in it, and I don't think you can get those extra stories that are included anywhere else. So I decided that I would just go ahead and pick this up, and I don't mind the cover that they did for this one. And I was gonna get this one once again from Amazon, but this was like $4.29 or something like that. because I bought these books when they had like a random 15% off the whole entire website sale. So yeah, I got this one for pretty cheap, and I did get the scratch and dent. Usually their paperback scratch and dents aren't that bad. It is a little ripped in the cover, but honestly it's not that bad. It's a lot better than some of the books that I have from when I was younger, so I don't think it is terrible. And I will have 2 copies of this book, but I do have the extra content, which I'm really happy about, and I don't mind having an extra copy because I did really enjoy the series. The next book I picked up was Cited by Neil Shusterman. This book has been going around BookTube. I have wanted to pick it up for a while now, but I just never got around to it just because I have had a lot of books on my TBR, and I feel like I always put this one off because it is a little bit more on the expensive side. So I decided to pick it up from Book Outlet. Kind of regret it just a little bit because there is like some wear and tear on the dust jacket. So it's almost burnt. It is like a new book, but there is like a little wear on the actual dust jacket around in different areas. It's not just on one area. This is another one that it wasn't the best. This one isn't the worst one that I received, but yeah, besides the actual dust jacket, the book is still in perfect condition, so I think that's okay. The next book I picked up was a graphic novel, and that is Relish My Life in the Kitchen by Lucy Kinsley, and I believe this is like a graphic memoir type of book. I saw Heather from Bookables talking about this one as well as another one by the same author, and she actually said she enjoyed this one more. They did have both of them on there, but I was trying to limit how much I was spending. I didn't want to go and spend like a whole bunch of money on Book Outlet. So I picked up this one, and I put the other one, which has something to do with weddings, in my wish list to get later if I enjoy this one. The next book that I have here I picked up on the recommendation of Lauren from the novel Lush. She reads a lot of paranormal, urban fantasy, and that is one of my favorite genres, but I don't read a lot of it. So after finding her channel and kind of watching a bunch of her videos, this is one of the authors slash series that she talks about a lot, and I found the first book to it on Book Outlet, and that is Magic Bites by Alona Andrews. It says it's a special edition of the first Kate Daniels novels. So this is one of the mini series she talks about, and this was the only one by this specific author. This was like the only one that they had the first book of. So I just decided to pick it up to give it a try, see if I enjoy it as much as she does, and obviously if I enjoy it, I will definitely check out more of her work, but you know, gotta start somewhere. The next couple books I picked up are by the same author. The first one of those is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I actually read this book last year. It was one of my favorite books of last year, but I got an e-arc of this book, and I've been wanting to pick up a physical copy, but being that this is an adult novel, it is so freaking expensive. I think the book is like $25. It's normally $26. So it was always like $20 something on Amazon, and that's usually where I buy the majority of my books. And I just couldn't bring myself to spend it, even though I was enjoying it. Like, even though I really love this book, and I was gonna wait on the paperback, but then they put it up on Book Outlet, and like I said, they had a random 15% off sale, so I paid less even than the normal Book Outlet price, which I think was still like $8 or $9, maybe even $10 for this book. So I'm excited to have a physical copy of this, and I don't think it will be this year, but I definitely plan on rereading this book in the future, so I'm glad that I have a physical copy of it. And the other book that I picked up by the same author was One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have heard a few people talking about this one. This one follows this woman named Emma, and she is in her 20s, and I know she's married, and I believe her husband goes off on some type of business trip, and his helicopter goes missing or crashes, and they can't find him. So after a while, they officially declare him dead. So she kind of grieves, moves on with her life, and she gets with a new guy, ends up getting engaged to him, but then her husband comes back, so now she has to deal with this whole situation of her, her husband, but now she has this new fiance and dealing with the loves of her life. So it sounds interesting. And the last two books that I have to talk about are both from the same author. The first one of those is Lagoon by Nnedi Okorafor. This is, I believe, a sci-fi novel. I don't really know what this one is about. I did know what it was about when I purchased it. I had seen Lauren, once again, from the Novel Lush, haul this. She actually recently did a haul, and it was in a book outlet haul as well. And she talked about it, and I was like, that sounds interesting. So I went to see if they still had it, and they did. So I just went ahead and picked it up. And the last book that I picked up from Book Outlet, as well as the last book that I have in this haul for today, also by Nnedi Okorafor, is Home, which is the second book in the Binti series. This is like a novella series, and all I know is that this character named Binti leaves her home planning to go to this school or something like that. I'm not really sure too many of the details, but I have heard so many amazing things about this, and I want to obviously get the entire series, but this was the only one that they had available on Book Outlet when I put in my order. And I just think it's really funny because I have been seeing Binti around, but I just didn't know what it was about, so I just didn't pick it up. But I have recently heard a lot more people talking about it, and they all say that it's good no matter who it is, no matter what their reading taste is. I feel like every person that I have heard talk about this series has really enjoyed it. So I picked this one up, like I said, because it was the only one, and I do plan on picking up the first and the third books in this series and probably just binging them because they are really short. So those are all the books that I picked up in March. Obviously I'm not going to hold them up because there's a lot, and I have already put most of them up or set them up for another video. So yeah, if you have read any of these books, let me know what you thought about them, and let me know which ones you think I should pick up next. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again in the next one. Bye.